Program planning and implementation. It is important for population educators to understand how a population education program is planned and how it should be implemented. If we look at education systems around the world, we see that in most developing countries and also in the industrialized nations, the finance of education systems comes from a center. Whether the center is federally located, provincially located, it's not individual sources that develop their own funding. So when funding comes from a central source, it is hoped and understood also that the program will be developed from a central source, and the implementation of the program will also be the responsibility of that central source. That's putting pressure on this one central source, whatever it may be. So let's see what happens. Deciding how these systems can be responsive to the needs of learners in different parts of the country, in different racial and ethnic groups, in different social and economic classes, is another problem for population educators. So, how does this group, central group, decide what somebody in Punjab needs, what somebody in Balochistan needs, what somebody in Sindh needs, and so on? It is not possible. Even if you look at the provincial centrality, so let's say if we look at Punjab, how does one decide what Lahore needs versus what Multan needs, what Bhavalpur needs? Needs are different. So it puts an onus of responsibility on the individuals in the central capacity to look at the different needs, the different wants, the different situations of people in different parts of a particular region, even within the country. And then to account, somehow bring in the different pieces from the different regions before making a final program, so that the program is bought, is owned by the different cities, by the different regions, and can be implemented thoroughly. Planning is one stage. Implementing is another. So on paper, the planning is fine. The actual test comes when the program is being implemented. Who is going to teach this? How is it going to be taught? How often is it going to be taught? Where is it going to be taught? You certainly can't teach population studies from grade 1. What level should we start? Who makes those kinds of decisions? Are critical concepts to look for and understand. The academic organization of schools has not always been sufficiently in tune with these differences, and this has contributed to the recent disillusionment over schooling in many parts of the world. Even in the developed world, you can't focus on each individual location and prepare a syllabus and a curriculum for that. So even in the developed world, there is a generalized curriculum that people are supposed to follow. They can tailor it to some extent to fit the bits and pieces to their regional needs and demands. But you can't change the whole thing. So who makes that decision? That's at the implementation stage. We give you the document, but how much of it is followed, how much of it should be followed, who will make sure that accountability rests on the shoulders of the same central group that decides in the planning phase on what should be taught. Nationally directed out-of-school programs are also likely to face the same problem. This is not just in-school programs, these are out-of-school programs. So even if you look at traditional education or vocational education or religious education, or you look at co-curriculars and extracurriculars, all these will be impacted by population studies and population education. After all, even in sports, there are individual games and then there are team games. The rules are different. And that is the understanding that these young people need. When you play on your own, it's different. When you play with a team, it is very different, and the same rules will not apply. That is true in life too. You sometimes make decisions on your own, and sometimes you make decisions with a group. It's not the same process, but implementation and follow-through is absolutely critical. Decentralization in both school and out-of-school programs of teacher training, of program planning, of curriculum and material development is usually difficult to achieve. All these aspects of education, developing the curriculum, finding the syllabus, training the teachers, cannot be left to individual schools, colleges, or universities. There has to be a central body that coordinates that. Individuals in developed countries have tried to decentralize it. It's not working, or it hasn't worked to the fullest. So the results expected are not the results that they got. So decentralization is not working, will not work. You have to have a central body. And this central body needs to be of the right people, should meet as often as is necessary and required, and should consider the implications of what their decisions will be, because not them, others in education will be responsible for following those decisions.